Did you have any like idea or well not idea but like who did you in that moment think had just killed Malcolm X?
Well, of course, at that time, because we've been hearing about the Nation of Islam, to get him, that was my immediate, belief, and uh, that was my immediate belief. But after a few days, then you begin to hear all that kind of stuff. And then we begin to know that this was basically like there were may, there were maybe members of the nation who did the actual shooting, but there were the New York City Police Department, the CIA, we believe that all those people were involved, and they knew what was going on. F. J. Edgar Hoover knew what was going on and what was going to be happening that day, and they uh, and I believe that to this day. I don't even know if those members of the nation if all of them who were involved were actually members, but there were members of the nation who willingly worked with them against Brother Malcolm. So that was and to this day I've not been able to forget that.
You said prior to you being closely associated with Malcolm X that you had no interest in the Nation of Islam. You had just dropped your Christian
Yeah,
beliefs. What led to you originally dropping your Christian belief? Was it maybe your experiences in the Catholic schools at a young
yes.
age?
I remember what we had gone through in the Catholic schools. I remember that when my family, for a very brief period, was my dad was stationed up in. I remember when my I'm sorry when my dad got stationed in Texas. Cause I was at this time I'm in the military, so that I'm not. But I can remember that my sisters had to go to a much longer distance to go to school because the white school that was going would not let them in there. So they had to take buses to go to school or be driven to school by my mom. And so I remembered all of that. Uh, uh, and so, Brother Malcolm was the one who made me see that this kind of stuff in the United States is not some kind of thing that's done by. So this is the attitude of the overwhelming majority of white people in America, is that they are superior, inherently superior to black folks. This is what Brother Malcolm used to tell us. They believe that they are inherently superior. Not superior because they've done this better, but because they just inherently born superior. And I remembered that even after I started going around and doing everything, and that has been my judgment of whites ever since. When they come to me and when I go to things and they try to be overly, I feel as though you're just trying to accommodate me because you think I'm inferior. So you gotta help me out. I developed that kind of attitude, and as I began, and of course as I went on and became a journalist, there, staff of Ebony magazine, did this and that, began teaching students and all that kind of stuff. All of those kind of things, stayed in my mind, stayed in my mind, and and made me very aware that uh, white supremacy, unlike the way they try to portray it in the New York Times and the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal and the big boy newspapers, is not just something of the low income white folks. It is all the way up to the very top. This attitude of white supremacy is something that pervades the entire country because they always try to make us believe that, well, these just poor whites, doing all this. So, yeah, well, the poor whites might be carrying out the assaults and that kind of stuff. but they're doing it, under the because they're following the orders, the untold orders of the big boys who run things. And I've never, I still believe that to this very day. That's why when they talk about now about this whole thing with Donald Trump, I consider Donald Trump to me is not a part of the big boys who run this country. He's somebody who's got in there, and they watch him. And I truly believe that he's not going to be president for 4 years. They're going to get him out of there
Why?
because he hurts them internationally. In the sense, by this, brother, I mean this. The United States are masters of doing dirty work in such a way that you never know. They're masters of it, or at least you know it's hard to pin down. But see, Donald Trump is somebody that likes to brag, so he do dirty stuff. He likes to brag about it, and so he hurts the country, in their dealings with other folks.
Right.
And which is why they did not let him back in 2020.
Right.
Well, they kept him out in 2020. And although he's back in now, I think if he starts continues with that kind of way, they're not going to let him. They're going to get him out of there. They're going to get him out of there. Not because purely for what they consider their interests. They consider what something to be. I mean, I heard on the news this morning that he's talking about invading Greenland and those places like he's talking about it, if they try to become independent, Virgin Islands or whatever it was, something like that. That he's gonna, it ain't gonna happen. So and that's the attitude of these people in this country. White people in America are just like the people they always try to talk about, the Europeans. They're just like the Europeans, if not worse than the Europeans, when it comes to dealing with, with people of other ethnic groups and racial groups. But Brother Malcolm was the one who taught us that. And again, as I said, Brother Malcolm taught us, you got to learn, you got to study, and you got to know what's going on. You can't just jump up and do something, or jump up and say something, because they always looking for ways to get you. See, they could never trap Brother Malcolm into saying something where they could arrest him, because he knew just how to say something where and they can accuse him of libel, because the way he said it, he was a master of that, man. I used to love to hear him speak, man. He would use those big words.
What do you think? What do you say to people who would label him, who try to label him as a black supremacist, or he taught hate to hate white people?
He did not. He believed in equality. He believed that that black people had every right to do what is best for their interests, and that we should not allow these people who have been doing all this stuff all the years to accuse us of being racist, when they are the absolute creators of racism. Other people have done things to people. They may kill people for religious reasons, or they may kill people because whatever. But see, those are all things you can change. If you say, I'm gonna kill you, if you're not a Christian, then I can say, hey, I'm gonna become a Christian because people get bothering me. Right. If they I'm gonna kill you because you walk too slow, I said, man, I'm gonna learn how to walk real fast. But if they do that kind of stuff for race reasons, there's nothing you can do. Right. Because you can't change it. I can't say because these white folks don't like racism, don't like me because I'm black, that I'm going to become white. Right. You can't do that. That is absolutely impossible. And so that's why white supremacy is one of the worst, it's probably the worst prejudice. Because if you were prejudiced against somebody because of religion, then I can say, hey man, if you want me to be cool, because they always say with the Muslims, I say with the Muslims, if you join the Muslim religion, then they would be cool. They did some terrible things. I don't deny that Muslims did some terrible things, killing people who refused to become Muslims. That was not, that was vicious, me killing people because they wouldn't become Muslims. But at least you had the choice. You could say, well, in order to keep them from killing me, I'm going to become a Muslim. When they kill you for being black, you have no choice. So to me, that makes you worse than anybody else when it comes to that kind of brutality and vicious treatment of people.